Two Wisconsinites on a flight from Punta Cana to Chicago witnessed the explosion of a SpaceX rocket last night. The couple from Portage and Wisconsin Rapids say that their Frontier flight was rerouted to avoid the launch. Take a look at that. But an hour into the flight, the pilot told passengers to look out the window because the rocket had exploded. That is just wild video. The flight was forced to turn around because too much debris in the airspace.
Once we stopped back in Punta Cana, we overheard the flight crew say something about how that was
They said like it was too close for comfort or something, which was very scary.
And it kind of freaked everyone out who heard it.
Yeah, despite the scare, the two passengers say the pilot and crew members handled the situation well by staying calm. They say passengers did not know the danger of the situation until they landed.